Hello. Today we will talk about fixed point iteration method, a basic tool for solution of a system of nonlinear equations or vector nonlinear equations. But also it gives us a very convenient framework for analysis of other numerical algorithms, in particular algorithms in numerical optimization. Suppose that we want to solve a vector equation. X is equal to f of x. So x is a vector and f is a vector function of the same dimension. And the approach is very simple. We build iterative process. We start with some arbitrary point x0. Reasonable point x0, compute function f of it, and this will give us next iterate. Xk plus 1 is f of xk. And of course the solution of equation is so-called fixed point of this algorithm. It satisfies this equality. So solution is x star. So x star is f of x star. And the very fundamental question is under which condition on f the sequence of iterates xk will converge to this fixed point, to the solution of the original system of equations. Now let us try to understand when the process, iterative process of this kind, xk plus 1 is equal to f of xk, will converge to this fixed point which we already defined. For this, let's denote delta k discrepancy between xk and the solution of our problem. So xk is x star plus delta k. And we can rewrite our iteration in the way x star plus delta k plus 1 is equal to f of x star plus delta k. On the other hand, if f is differentiable function, we can say, if we give some perturbation to x star, perturbation delta k, we can evaluate the value of function in new point as a value in the original point plus Jacobian multiplied by perturbation. And Jacobian should be taken in some intermediate point by so-called mean value theory. So, summarizing what we wrote, if we subtract x star from both sides, we will get a very simple expression. Delta k plus 1 is Jacobian at some intermediate point multiplied by delta k. So Jacobian is a linear operator. In final dimensional case, it's a matrix. So the matrix have a norm, and how matrix acts on any vector, the norm of product of matrix with vector, norm of this product is less or equal the norm of matrix multiplied by the norm of right hand side vector. And we see now the expression that norms of our discrepancy might decrease is if this number, this is a number, if this number is smaller than 1, then we know that norm of discrepancies will decrease. It's so-called linear convergence. And this number is called linear convergence rate. Sometimes it's denoted like C. So delta k plus 1, norm of delta k plus 1 is some C multiplied by norm of delta k. Now, let me remind you a few facts about matrix norm. So when we write norm here, we mean second norm, square root of sum of squares of elements of vector, when we say about vector. And what is second norm of matrix, or in other words, operator norm of matrix? This is maximal of norm of AX when X is taken from the unit ball. This is definition, and there are important particular cases which will help us to understand a bit more in depth meaning of matrix norm. For example, we have an orthogonal matrix. Orthogonal matrix means that even square matrix, when rows and also columns are orthonormal vectors with norm 1 and orthogonal one to other. What is the norm of Vx? We will consider this as a vector. Norm of vector, it's inner product of vector with itself, which is written here, and we can open parentheses, and we'll see in the middle product V transpose V, which we already told that it's identity matrix. So it's we showed very easily that norm of Vx is the same as norm of X. It says that norm of orthogonal matrix is equal to 1. Now, norm of a matrix may be computed using singular value decomposition. Let me remind you what is singular value decomposition. Suppose we have a matrix, a general matrix A, and we can decompose it in the way, in product of three matrices, where matrix U and matrix V are orthogonal, and matrix D is diagonal with non-negative entries sigma 1 to sigma n. If you have such decomposition, it's very easy to compute norm of matrix. Let's develop it. Norm of AX, we just substitute AX is this expression. This expression, and here is its transpose. So we can put all together, and also pay attention that U transpose U is identity matrix. This product is identity. D is diagonal, that's why we don't write transpose. So we get this simplified expression. X transpose V, DD, V transpose X. Now we can denote the vector V transpose X as Y. And by the way, we remember if V is orthogonal matrix, then norm of Y is the same as norm of V transpose X. So now we can analyze how norm of AX depend on Y. So with Y we get a really simple expression. It's just dy multiplied by d transpose y. It's norm of dy squared. And suppose that I will claim that y, and you can check it yourself, the worst case when y is a vector of unit norm and ay is as maximal as possible, which definition of norm of matrix requires. This worst case happens if we order the singular values in the way that maximal singular value is in the first position, for example, and y has 1 in first position and zeros in all other positions. Then dy, diagonal matrix multiplied by y, just will give you sigma maximal at first position. So norm of A will be equal to norm of AY, because by definition it worst case of vector which unit length is less or equal to 1. And norm of y is some square root of sum of squares, is just sigma max. So our conclusion is very nice. If you have singular value decomposition of a matrix, then norm, induced second norm of a matrix is of this matrix is just maximal singular value of this matrix in singular value decomposition. Another important case gives us eigenvalue decomposition of a matrix. When matrix is symmetric, we can compute its norm as a maximal, absolute value of maximal eigenvalue, very similar to singular value decomposition case. Let me remind you what is eigenvalue decomposition. We have a matrix A, and suppose that there exists a vector such that AS is some number multiplied by S. In this case, it means that A doesn't change direction of the vector, maybe only on opposite along the same line. It only changes its amplitude. Okay, and suppose we work in n-dimensional space and assume that our matrix is non-degenerate. It means that it has n linearly independent eigenvectors. We can write in matrix form, if we put all eigenvectors into matrix, as AS is equal to S lambda, where lambda is diagonal matrix of eigenvalues which correspond to those eigenvectors. Now, if we have n linearly independent eigenvectors, then this matrix S is invertible, and we can multiply this equality from the right hand side by S inverse. So S multiplied by S inverse disappears, give identity, and we end up with eigenvalue decomposition of matrix A. A is equal to S lambda S inverse. And by the way, for general matrix A, lambda may be, the values of lambda may be complex, the same as the vectors S. If A is symmetric matrix, eigenvalue decomposition greatly simplifies. In this case, S is orthogonal matrix, mean all eigenvectors are orthogonal to each other, and we can normalize them. And then we get S transpose AS is identity, and it's the same. And we also know that S inverse S is identity, and we conclude that for orthogonal matrix, its inverse it's equal to its transpose. And eigenvalues are real. They may be positive or negative, but they are real. So in this case, we can change S inverse by S transpose, and this is eigenvalue decomposition of symmetric matrix. It's very similar in some sense to singular value decomposition of general matrix in structure. If you remember, there was U and V transpose, two orthogonal matrices, and for symmetric matrices it's just the same. The difference is that diagonal part may have negative signs. And following the same framework as we did for singular value decomposition, it's easy to show that norm of symmetric matrix A is just maximal amplitude of its eigenvalue. So maximal absolute value of among those eigenvalues.